Hi, I'm Rayanne Fields. I'm Development Director at Old State House Museum, and I'm here with our Museum Director, Bill Gatewood. And Bill, tell us about the high wheel bike.
Well, several years ago, we did an exhibit on bicycling in Arkansas, and one part of it was featured the high wheel, or the penny-farthing, which was a late 1800s bike that had a large front wheel, like in this illustration here. I mean, it could easily be 50 inches high, and so it had this big, huge front wheel and a little tiny back wheel. It was oftentimes called a penny-farthing. This circle being the penny and the little one being the farthing. So that was popular up until the late 1800s briefly, and that's what really spurred the interest in cycling. And the penny farthing, or the high wheel, eventually evolved into a safety bike, which is the bicycle as we know it basically today. And it had a chain and pneumatic tires and that sort of thing. But an interesting thing about about the high wheel, is at that time in Little Rock, there was a bicycle racetrack where Central High School is now. And it had the largest grandstand of any public arena like that in the state. Popularity of bicycles was clearly very high, and only gave way once baseball became a thing.
And why do we have a replica high wheel bike penny-farthing? What is that in relation to?
The Old State House has a modern reproduction of one of these bicycles, and we use it for educational purposes, and it's not in the collection of artifacts. It's something that we actually can ride, and it's just to demonstrate how to ride it and how not to. Well, one of the issues with this kind of bicycle was that the center of gravity was so high. You sit way up here and very forward on this big wheel, and there's the center of the wheel, and so it was very easy to fall forward if you hit a bump or an obstacle, and that was called a header, and we try to avoid that.
Okay. So how do you get on and off this thing? It looks so ginormous that I would be a little hesitant to try to crawl up there. So how do you do that?
Well, I've done it. It's like riding a horse. You're so high up. It's about that same height. Well, that's me climbing up on a high wheel, or a penny farthing. We're in the Dickey Stevens parking lot with Daniel Cockrell in our education department. He's the wingman on this trip, and we needed to be in a big space like this because these high wheels don't turn very sharply, and it's kind of interesting that you have to be aware of where your knees are, because you can turn it so far that your knee rubs the spokes, and so that's not a good thing. But there are a couple of phases to riding these kinds of bikes. One is getting on the bike, another is riding it actually, and the other is getting off of the bike. And as you can see, the pedals go round and round with the wheel, so there's not a coaster brake, so your legs are always in motion, and that's in fact is one of the ways you can slow it down, is just don't let the pedals turn so fast. And then it does have a handbrake on one side of the handlebars, but you got to be careful because the center of gravity is such that, and you're so forward on the front wheel, that it's easy to flip it over. But again, it does take a lot of some acreage to turn the thing around. There's a couple of ways that you can get off of the bike. One is to climb down and put your foot on the little peg that's by the small back wheel, and just sort of walk or crawl down the back of the bike. And but I'm not going to do that on this go round. The other way to get off of the bicycle is to slow down and jump off. So that was that.
So Bill, what is this that we're looking at?
Okay, we're back at Dickey Stevens in the parking lot, and again, this is a high wheel, or penny-farthing bicycle, late 1800s, brief popularity. I'm about to get off of the bike, and the way I'll do it is to put one foot on a small peg that's down by the back wheel, the small back wheel, and lift myself out of the seat, and we just keep coasting along, and then just hop down off of it.
And it's nice to have someone there to assist if you need it.
Absolutely.
I think you told me one time the advantage of the big front wheel was speed.
Speed. At that time, yes, it was speed. Just simply because for every rotation of your of the pedals in your feet, there would be a greater movement of the big wheel itself.
So when you say they raced, they were really putting some speed. It's not what you might imagine. If I imagine myself on this bicycle, I would go very slowly.
Well, apparently they would, it was not uncommon for them to run 18 miles an hour or so. And if you've ridden the river trail, a lot of folks are kind of going along at 10 miles an hour or whatnot, but some more, certainly. But they could really move on these bikes.
Okay, and we had an exhibit about bicycles.
We did, and what we're standing in front of is a component of that exhibit. The exhibit featured sort of the evolution of bikes from the very beginning and focusing in Arkansas. And this is a traveling version of that larger exhibit, and this is available for, you can check these out, libraries, history museums, whatever, and it comes with a DVD of folks interviewed about the history of bicycles.
So this big panel folds down and goes into cases, and they call here to the museum to make an arrangement, and they can come pick that up and take that out and set it up and have an educational exhibit.
Yes, it folds down very small, and the containers can easily fit in a small SUV, and then we'll give you the DVD to use with it.
So the traveling exhibits are totally free. And this isn't the only one we have. This is the one we're featuring today, but we have others. I think we have about 8.
Yes, we have several others.
Okay.
If you're interested in borrowing one of these traveling exhibits, simply call the Old State House Museum, ask for Marie Beeler, and she can put your name on the list for receiving one of these traveling exhibits. And it comes with a DVD, so you need to have a monitor there to watch it. And neat stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. Thank you.
How much